People often believe that strength is loud. They think strength is the person who never cries, never breaks, never shows pain. But real strength is quieter than that. Sometimes real strength looks like tears falling silently at night when no one is watching. Ion learned this truth the hard way. From the outside, Ion looked like someone who had everything under control. He was known as the strong one in his family, the one who didn't complain, the one who carried responsibilities without asking for help. Since childhood, he had been taught one lesson again and again. Strong people don't cry, so he didn't. When his father passed away suddenly, Ion stood still at the funeral. His relatives whispered, "Look how brave he is." His mother held his arm, shaking with grief, and he held her up while his own chest felt like it was collapsing. Tears burned behind his eyes, but he swallowed them. That night, alone in his room, he stared at the ceiling until sunrise. His heart was screaming, but his eyes stayed dry. He believed that if he cried, he would fall apart, and if he fell apart, everything else would collapse too. Life didn't slow down for grief. Bills needed to be paid. His younger sister needed school fees. His mother needed emotional support. Ion became the pillar everyone leaned on. He worked longer hours, spoke less, smiled when expected, and locked his pain somewhere deep inside himself. Weeks turned into months. But pain doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It waits. One evening, after another exhausting day, Ion sat alone in a bus returning home. The city lights blurred past the window. For no clear reason, his chest suddenly felt heavy. His breathing became shallow. His hands trembled. He told himself, "Not now, stay strong." But his body didn't listen. Tears rolled down his face, quietly, uncontrollably. He quickly wiped them away, ashamed, looking around to see if anyone noticed. A stranger sitting nearby glanced at him, then looked away respectfully. That moment should have passed, but something inside Ion cracked open. That night, the tears didn't stop. He cried for his father. He cried for the childhood he lost too early. He cried for the weight he had been carrying alone. And for the first time, he didn't fight it. Between sobs, a strange thing happened. His chest felt lighter. The pain was still there, but it wasn't suffocating him anymore. It was as if his heart had been holding its breath for months, and now it could finally breathe. The next morning, Ion woke up with swollen eyes and a quiet realization. The world didn't end because I cried. Still, old habits are hard to break. At work, he returned to being normal, strong, silent, reliable, but something inside him had changed. He started noticing how many people around him were also silently hurting, hiding their pain behind smiles, jokes, and busy schedules. One day, his colleague Sarah noticed his tired face. "You okay?" she asked gently. Ion almost said yes. The word was already on his lips, but instead he hesitated. "I'm trying," he replied. Sarah smiled softly. "That's more honest than 'I'm fine.'" That simple sentence stayed with him. Trying, healing, not pretending. At home, his mother sat beside him one evening, holding his father's old shawl. Her eyes were red. "I miss him so much," she whispered. For a moment, Ion wanted to be strong again, to tell her everything would be okay. But instead, he felt his eyes fill with tears. "So do I," he said. They cried together. No speeches, no solutions, just shared pain. That night, Ion realized something important. Crying didn't make him weaker for his mother. It brought them closer. His tears didn't burden her. They reminded her she wasn't alone. Healing, he began to understand, is not about pretending you're unbreakable. It's about allowing yourself to feel what's broken so it can slowly mend. But healing isn't instant. Some days, Ion felt strong. Other days, the weight returned without warning. There were mornings he stood in the shower, letting tears mix with water, giving himself permission to feel. And after those tears, he often felt calmer, clearer, more alive. Still, the world around him didn't always understand. "Why are you so emotional these days?" a relative asked once. "You need to toughen up." Ion smiled politely, but inside he thought, "I am tough. I'm facing what I used to run from." True strength, he was learning, isn't about silence. It's about honesty with yourself first. One evening, he opened his old notebook and began writing things he never said out loud. His fears, his anger, his grief, his hopes. Sometimes the pages got wet with tears, but he didn't stop. Each tear felt like a release. Each word felt like a step forward. He wasn't healed yet, not completely, but he was healing, and that made all the difference. Part 2 will go deeper into Ion's journey, how he learns to fully accept his emotions, face setbacks, and understand that tears are not signs of defeat, but proof of courage and growth. Ayesha learned very early in life how to smile even when her heart was breaking. She learned it the day her father told her, "Strong people don't cry." She was only 9 then, standing in the corner of a small room, watching her parents argue in voices sharp enough to cut skin. Her mother's eyes were red, her father's fists were tight, and when her mother finally broke down and cried, her father walked away in silence. That moment planted a belief inside Ayesha's heart. Tears were shameful. From that day on, she trained herself not to cry. When she fell from her bicycle and scraped her knees, she bit her lips until they bled, but she didn't cry. When her best friend moved away without saying goodbye, she smiled and said, "It's okay."
When she failed an important exam despite studying day and night, she locked herself in the bathroom and stared at the mirror until the urge to cry passed. People admired her strength. She's so mature, she handles everything so well, she never complains. What they didn't see was the storm growing quietly inside her. Years passed. Ayesha grew older, responsibilities heavier. She became the girl everyone depended on, the daughter who never said no, the friend who always listened, the employee who never took breaks. But pain doesn't disappear when ignored, it waits. At 26, Ayesha faced her biggest heartbreak. The person she loved most, the one she trusted with all her dreams, walked away without explanation. One message, one apology, and then silence. She stared at her phone for hours, rereading the last words sent to her. "I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore." That night she felt something crack inside her chest. Still, she didn't cry. She went to work the next morning. She smiled. She answered emails. She laughed at jokes she couldn't hear. At night she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her heart pounding like it was begging for release. Weeks passed like this. Her body grew tired. Her mind grew foggy. Small things made her angry. Silence felt unbearable. And yet no tears came. One evening her grandmother noticed. "You're carrying too much inside," she said softly, placing a wrinkled hand on Ayesha's shoulder. "I'm fine," Ayesha replied automatically. Her grandmother looked at her with eyes that had seen wars, loss and survival. "No," she said gently, "you're surviving but you're not healing." Ayesha didn't understand those words then. That night she sat alone in her room. The silence was heavy. The walls felt closer. Memories came rushing. Arguments, expectations, heartbreak, unspoken fears. Her chest tightened, and for the first time in years, she didn't stop herself. Tears fell slowly at first, then uncontrollably. Her shoulders shook. Her breath broke. She cried like she had been holding her breath her entire life. She cried for the love she lost. She cried for the child who was told not to cry. She cried for the strength she pretended to have. And something unexpected happened. She didn't feel weaker. She felt lighter, exhausted but lighter. That night Ayesha slept peacefully for the first time in months. She didn't know it yet, but that was the beginning of her healing. Part 2. The strength inside the tears. After that night, Ayesha feared her tears, not because they hurt, but because they revealed truths she had buried. She noticed that when she cried, memories surfaced. Painful ones, honest ones, the kind she had avoided her whole life, and part of her wanted to shut them down again. But another part, quieter, wiser, whispered, "Let it happen." So she did something brave. She stopped running from her emotions. When sadness came, she sat with it. When memories hurt, she allowed herself to feel them. When tears came, she let them fall without judgment. And slowly she began to understand something powerful. Crying wasn't breaking her, it was releasing her. Each tear carried something old: fear, guilt, unspoken words, unmet expectations. She realized she had spent years being strong for everyone else while abandoning herself. One afternoon, she stood in front of the mirror and spoke words she had never said aloud. "I'm tired. I'm hurt. I need rest." She cried again that day, not out of pain but relief. Life didn't suddenly become easy. She still had bad days. Days when memories returned. Days when loneliness felt loud. But now she didn't judge herself for feeling. She learned that strength doesn't mean silence. Strength means honesty with yourself first. Months later, someone at work said to her, "You've changed. You seem calmer." She smiled. Not the forced smile she wore for years, but a real one. "I am," she replied, "because healing isn't about pretending you're okay. It's about allowing yourself not to be." Ayesha began setting boundaries, saying no without guilt, resting without apology, loving herself without conditions. She still cried sometimes, but now she understood. Tears are not signs of weakness. They are signs of courage. Courage to feel, courage to face pain, courage to heal. And every time she cried, she reminded herself, "I am not breaking, I am becoming." Message of the story: if you are crying, it doesn't mean you are weak. It means your heart is doing the brave work of healing. Don't rush your tears. Don't shame your emotions. Don't silence your pain. Because sometimes, the strongest people are the ones who allow themselves to feel.